Job was a good man. He was known throughout the land for his unwavering faith and his impeccable integrity. People admired him for his devotion to God and his commitment to living a righteous life. He was a man of faith and integrity. His days were filled with prayers and acts of kindness, and he always sought to do what was right in the eyes of the Lord. He loved God with all his heart. Every morning he would rise early to offer sacrifices and prayers, not just for himself, but for his family as well. He was also incredibly wealthy. His lands were vast, his livestock numerous, and his storehouses were filled with grain and goods. He had a large family, many possessions, and a comfortable life. His children were his pride and joy, and they often gathered together to celebrate and share in the blessings they had received. But one day, everything changed. Without warning, a series of calamities struck, turning his world upside down. Job lost everything, his wealth, his children, and even his health. In a matter of moments, his life of abundance was replaced with desolation and despair. He was struck with painful sores all over his body. Job's suffering was immense. The once respected man was now reduced to sitting in ashes, scraping his sores with broken pottery. He was devastated and confused. The pain and loss were overwhelming, and he couldn't comprehend why such misfortune had befallen him. He didn't understand why this was happening to him. He had always been faithful to God, so why was he being punished so severely? He had always been faithful to God. His heart was pure and his devotion unwavering, yet here he was, in the depths of suffering. Why was God allowing him to suffer so much? Job's friends came to comfort him. They traveled from afar, hoping to offer solace and support in his time of need. But they only made things worse. Instead of providing comfort, they accused him of wrongdoing. They told him that he must have sinned to deserve such punishment. Job's faith was shaken. The words of his friends cut deep, adding to his already unbearable pain. He began to question God's goodness and justice. The doubts crept in, and he found himself wrestling with thoughts he had never entertained before. He cried out to God in anguish, demanding answers. His heart was heavy with sorrow, and he needed to understand why he was being subjected to such torment. Why was this happening to him? What had he done to deserve such pain? The questions echoed in his mind, relentless and unyielding. He felt alone, betrayed, and utterly hopeless. The isolation was suffocating, and the betrayal he felt was profound. Job's questioning of God was a natural human response to suffering. In the face of such immense pain, it is only human to seek answers and to question the reasons behind our suffering. When we experience pain and loss, it's easy to wonder why God would allow it. The human heart seeks understanding, especially in times of great distress. We might even feel angry or resentful towards him. The emotions can be overwhelming, and the sense of injustice can fuel our anger. But even in his doubt, Job never stopped believing in God. His faith, though shaken, remained intact. He clung to the hope that there was a purpose behind his suffering. He continued to cry out to him, seeking understanding and solace. In his darkest moments, Job's faith was his anchor, and he held on, hoping for a glimmer of light in the overwhelming darkness. Job, in his pain, questioned God. He wondered why he was chosen for such immense suffering. He argued his case, believing he had lived a righteous life. Yet, amidst his questioning, Job recognized something crucial. He acknowledged the vastness of God's wisdom. He realized his own understanding was limited. Job, humbled by his suffering, repented. He understood he couldn't grasp the grand scheme of God's plan. He accepted his place before God, not as a judge, but as a servant. He surrendered his anger and confusion, choosing to trust in God's ultimate goodness. This act of repentance wasn't about admitting guilt for his suffering. It was about Job shifting his perspective. He moved from demanding answers to accepting his limited understanding. He chose faith over doubt, surrendering to the mystery of God's ways. God heard Job's cries. In the midst of his suffering and confusion, Job sought answers, yearning for understanding and relief. He answered Job not with direct answers to his questions, but with a profound revelation. Instead of providing simple explanations, God offered Job a glimpse of his divine wisdom, a perspective far beyond human understanding. He spoke from the whirlwind, a powerful and awe-inspiring display, reminding Job of his immense power and sovereignty over all creation. God described the vastness of the universe, the intricate complexity of nature, and the profound mysteries that lie beyond human comprehension. His response wasn't meant to silence Job or dismiss his pain. It was meant to expand his understanding, to show him a broader perspective. It revealed to Job that God's ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. It reminded him that even in our deepest suffering, God remains in control. He is still good, and his love endures forever. And he still has a plan, a purpose that is unfolding even when we cannot see it. God also addressed Job's friends who had tried to offer their own explanations for his suffering. He rebuked them for their misguided accusations and shallow comfort, highlighting their lack of true understanding. He emphasized that true wisdom lies not in judging others or offering simplistic answers, but in trusting his plan, even when we don't fully understand it. In the end, it is faith and trust in God's greater wisdom that brings peace. God instructed Job to pray for his friends. He asked Job to intercede on their behalf, even though they had misjudged him. Job's heart, filled with God's grace, responded with forgiveness. He prayed for his friends, releasing his resentment and embodying the very mercy he had received. God accepted Job's prayer. He forgave Job's friends, honoring Job's act of compassion. This act of intercession marked a turning point in Job's journey. He transitioned from focusing on his pain to extending grace to others. He became a conduit of God's forgiveness, demonstrating the transformative power of faith. Job's willingness to forgive highlighted the importance of extending grace to others, even when they hurt us. It showed that true faith manifests in our actions towards others, reflecting God's love and forgiveness in our own lives. Section 5, a time of abundant restoration. God blessed Job abundantly. He restored Job's fortunes, giving him twice as much as he had before. His wealth multiplied, his flocks grew vast, and his land overflowed with prosperity. God's blessings weren't limited to material possessions. He blessed Job with a new family. Job's story reminds us that God sees our suffering, he cares about our pain, and he promises to restore us in his perfect timing. The restoration might not always be immediate, nor might it look exactly as we expect, but we can trust that God will work all things together for our good if we remain faithful to him. Section 6. The second family of Job. This chapter delves into the profound blessings that Job received after enduring immense suffering and loss. God blessed Job with 7 sons and 3 daughters. These children were not just a gift, but a testament to Job's unwavering faith and resilience. These children brought immense joy to Job's life, filling his days with laughter and love. They filled the void left by his previous family, offering him a renewed sense of purpose and happiness. His daughters were said to be the most beautiful in all the land. Their beauty was not just physical, but also a reflection of the grace and favor bestowed upon Job. Job, once bereaved, now rejoiced in the laughter and love of his new family. Each day was a reminder of God's mercy and generosity. The birth of Job's new children symbolizes God's complete restoration in his life. It was a powerful testament to the idea that after great trials there can be great blessings. It signifies a new beginning, a fresh start filled with hope and endless possibilities. This new chapter in Job's life was filled with joy, love, and the promise of a future. It was a vivid illustration of how life can turn around in the most unexpected ways. It reassures us that even in our deepest pain, there is always a possibility for renewal and joy. God can bring forth new life and unexpected blessings. He can transform our darkest moments into times of celebration. Job's story reminds us that God is in the business of restoration. He can take what is broken and make it whole again. He can take our broken pieces and create something beautiful. Just like a craftsman, he meticulously works to restore and renew. He can turn our mourning into dancing, our sorrow into joy, and our despair into hope. Job's journey from suffering to joy is a powerful reminder that with faith, resilience, and trust in God, we can overcome any adversity and find true happiness once again. Section 7. Unwavering faith rewarded. Job lived a long and prosperous life. He saw his children's children experiencing the joy of generations. He died an old man, full of years and contentment. His story became a testament to God's faithfulness and the power of unwavering faith. Job's life, marked by both immense suffering and extraordinary blessings, serves as a beacon of hope for all who face trials. His story reminds us that God is with us in the storm even when we can't see his hand at work. His story encourages us to trust in God's plan. Even when it doesn't make sense to us, it reassures us that he is faithful to his promises and will never leave us nor forsake us. Section 8. Finding Hope in Hardship. Job's story offers profound lessons for us today. It teaches us about the nature of suffering, the sovereignty of God, and the power of faith. It shows us that even in the darkest of times, God is present and at work. Job's experience reminds us that suffering is a part of life. It's something that we will all face at some point. But it also reminds us that suffering is not the end of the story. There is hope even in the midst of pain. Job's story encourages us to hold on to our faith even when we don't understand what God is doing. It reminds us that God's ways are higher than our ways and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Section 9. God's love constant and true. Throughout Job's ordeal, God's love remained constant. Even when Job questioned, doubted, and cried out in pain, God never abandoned him. He saw Job's heart, his unwavering faith even in suffering, and ultimately he redeemed him. Job's story reassures us that God's love for us is not contingent on our circumstances. It doesn't waver when we face trials or falter in our faith. His love is a constant, a beacon of hope even in the darkest of nights. Job's story is a powerful reminder that no matter what we face in life, God is with us. He understands our pain, he hears our cries, and he will see us through to the other side. Section 10. A legacy of faith and resilience. Job's story, passed down through generations, continues to inspire hope and resilience. It teaches us that faith isn't about avoiding suffering, but about enduring it with God by our side. It's about trusting his plan, even when we don't understand it. Job's legacy encourages us to embrace our own journeys, with all their complexities and challenges. It reminds us that through faith, perseverance, and God's unending grace, we too can overcome adversity and emerge stronger, wiser, and more deeply rooted in our faith. Job's story is a timeless testament to the power of faith, the mystery of God's grace, and the enduring hope found in his unwavering love. It offers comfort, guidance, and a profound reminder that even in our darkest hours, we are never alone.